most of it is just growing pains. And I don't blame older engineers because it is really hard to keep on top of your own projects and then also pour into your younger engineers at the same
Yeah.
time. And so I feel like the times that I kind of faced most disappointment was those first 2 years where I felt almost like a burden kind of
Oh,
floating around, basically kind of lightly helping when I could, but it was so fragmented that I couldn't kind of get a clear picture of the whole project process.
hey, folks. Welcome back to another edition of the 21st Century Engineer, a conversation or a series of conversations with individuals that are working in the civil infrastructure profession and who have life experiences that I want them to share with you in your journey of professional development and professional success. The goal here is to turn you into a servant leader, as well as a change agent to make things better because there are a whole lot of people out there satisfied with the way things were. Our guest today, Alex Steelman. Uh, Alex is a professional engineer. She's recognized recently by the National Society of Professional Engineers, of which we are both members, as a 2025 emerging leader. And in the conversation that I've had with Alex so far, and the information, emails, exchanges, whatever we've had so far, I would say they made an absolutely excellent choice. I think Alex is going to be an absolutely outstanding leader in this profession. And now that I've given her a swollen head and I put a pin in it just now, Alex, how would you like to be introduced?
Well, thank you, Dennis. I'm Alex Steelman. I'm a civil engineer based in Pensacola, Florida. A 2-year PE at this point. I work at Rebel Battle and Associates, which is a small local firm, and we specialize in land development. So whether that be large residential subdivisions or smaller commercial sites, we kind of do it all. One-stop shop for stormwater management, utility design, parking lots, anything. So
Good
yeah.
deal. So it's kind of a general civil development, commercial, and all of which is impactful because at the end of the day, all civil infrastructure, whether it's industrial, commercial, or public works, municipal, it all impacts quality of life. It impacts economic development. It impacts everybody every day. And you know that, and I know that. And we're trying to get everybody else to realize that maybe they'll be a little more proud of all the stuff that we do. Well, to get started, let's talk a little bit about how you got involved, exposed, introduced to the engineering profession.
So I grew up, my mom is a structural engineer here in Pensacola too. And I grew up going to construction sites with her, driving around, seeing different projects she helped put together. She always did the bones of it. Um, and so she was always so proud of everything she always put out and knowing she had a hand in building aspects of the community. So growing up, seeing that, working around engineers, my first summer job was working at her office,
Surprise.
cleaning bathrooms and answering phones and dealing with, talking to architects and doing shop drawings and stuff. So that was really eye opening. It was such a major part of my life and my family that I always kind of knew I wanted to be in the STEM field in general. Maybe civil, maybe something medical, didn't really know. Um, so my mom, she also went to Alabama, and it's such a solid civil program, very historic. And so I kind of followed in her footsteps, wanting to go aerospace, actually. That was my first choice, but I'm not a
And then you
physics
saw the
person.
light.
Yeah, I did one semester and realized that I really wasn't going to get that same feeling of driving by a site and seeing something built right in front
Yeah.
of me. have total respect for aerospace engineers, but it just could
Well,
not
every
be.
time I get into my plane, I have a total respect for aerospace engineers. But it's what I always say is the big difference between civil and the other engineering disciplines is that we never build the same thing twice. Every mile of
Exactly.
road, every building, every water treatment plant is different. We're not about designing something, part of something even more so that's going to be mass produced. I do one widget, and I got
Exactly.
to get that widget right because 100 million of them are going to be built and distributed around the world. Not for us. It's also why we have some
No.
tactile advantage because the projects we have aren't something that's going to be boxed up and shipped overseas or even worse, mass produced in a location out of our control or out of our sight. Uh, Most of our work is going to be right there in our back door, and we're going to have a tactile relationship with it. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that was actually one of my points when I switched was I didn't get excited about working on maybe one part of a plane or whatever it be to make it, point XXX% more
Yeah,
efficient.
there you go. Yeah.
So,
Six Sigma.
yeah.
Love it.
So,
Not. Anyway,
mhm.
let's just build it right the first time and then we'll go on to the next one. It fits me real
Yeah.
well. Apparently, it fits you pretty well too. That's great. So
Mhm.
that then developed that impact, that visual, obvious impact is what motivated you to stay or to move over into and maybe a little more closely follow your mom's footprints.
Yeah, so I initially, when I switched, assumed I was going to do structural. And so I interned at their office. I went on job site inspections, uh, did little things here and there, but I took that steel and concrete class at the same time, and it just did not sit right with me. So, and at the same time, too, I was also taking an intro to water resources class and eventually a hydrology class, and really kind of started seeing what water resources
Yeah.
are. And um, I also was really intrigued by the fact that you could just look at random stream flow gauges throughout the country and see how things were performing. So that kind of opened a lot, and I interned at TTL over in Tuscaloosa for a little bit my senior year, and that really kind of locked in the land
Yeah,
development
that
side for me.
that mentoring piece is really important, and people have to understand mentoring is all about nurturing the individual to be the best version of themselves. It's not about supervision, teaching them how to follow the rules or necessarily uh, perform within a corporate environment. Mentoring is growing people. Supervision is about helping people grow projects, and both are important. But it sounds to me like, and maybe you had the advantage because it was your mother. Maybe it's the environment she drug you into. It sounds like you had a really positive mentoring experience. And is that fair to say?
Oh, definitely. I would credit probably one of my biggest mentors. I would say I have two, but one of them is my mom's boss at the time, Joe Durrell. He really uh, showed through action his compassion for his employees and for his clients. He was extremely ethical, just an overall really
Excellent.
great guy. And so I saw that for years and years and years and knew that that was kind of the standard I'd want to
It is
uphold.
important. I mean, it's the difference between really great companies and companies that are just kind of great. I mean, it is. It's the people. I mean, you have to realize at the end of the day in civil engineering, civil infrastructure, the resource we have are the people that work for us, work with us, and for whom we work. And in that, developing a really positive relationship. You went on, you got a bachelor's at Tuscaloosa. Sorry, just where I come from. We we have certain universities we don't mention by name. It's he who shall not be mentioned. Uh,
Mhm.
sorry, Harry Potter.
I'm used to it. I'm used to it. My bosses have been from Auburn, basically all of them, so it's okay.
I had good friends at Alabama. In fact, I now have as of this semester, my nephew's on the faculty in civil
Oh,
construction and environmental
perfect.
engineering, and University of Alabama.
Yeah. I have a cousin now who's a civil engineering student over at
Oh,
Mississippi
well, there
State.
you go.
So
Crossbreeding.
crossover. There you
And they
go.
both survived.
Yeah, I stole her from architecture for y'all.
Oh,
So,
my. Mm. Deep
yeah.
breath, deep breath, breathe.
Yep.
Anyway, the question I was headed for was at some point you decided you needed more than a bachelor's degree. You needed more education, and that evolved into becoming a graduate student and securing or finishing a master's degree in civil engineering. When did you see it? I mean, was this something you knew before you even started your bachelor's you wanted to do, or is this something as you finished your bachelor's you realized you needed to do, or was this a workplace thing?
It was definitely a workplace thing. Probably 2 years in, I started seeing that like I was learning a lot on the job as most people do, but I wasn't fully grasping it. And I kind of, civil is a very umbrella type of
Yep.
degree. You see a lot of different things. And so I kind of felt like I was lacking with fluid mechanics and open channel hydraulics, stuff like that. So I really wanted to go back and focus on more so water resources and fully understand what
Good
I
for
was
you.
doing so it could kind of build off of
Yeah.
each other.
Good for you. That and
Yeah.
correct. I mean, knowing University of Alabama's undergraduate program as I do, not all that much different than the program I put together at Mississippi State. But I mean, you've got structures and hydraulics, water resources, environmental, transportation, construction, and two or three other disciplines under civil. I mean, civil's got 43 different disciplines. So they
Hmm.
didn't do the ABET minimum, and for those of you that forget, ABET is the accreditation group for engineering programs, among other things. And so they only require you to have 4 areas, and what they are is up to you to have. But Alabama's, I think, got a good program. It's comprehensive at the bachelor's level, and the master's programs. I know those guys; they're sharp, and I've worked with some of them over the years. Some of them have retired, much as I have, but yeah, it's a solid program, and I applaud you for recognizing and not being feared. But a lot of people say once I get out. In fact, I had some good friends that once they got out, went to work, just never went back to for the graduate degree, as much as they knew they wanted it or needed it. They just worked
Yeah,
around it, and I applaud you for having the fortitude and vision to realize that additional education, all education is good education. The more you learn, the more you know, the more you can
exactly.
compare, the more you understand that you don't know. And going back to your earlier comment, when we used to joke about finishing your PhD, you have the set of exams you take, all designed to make you think you're the stupidest person on the planet, and then they award you a PhD and make you think you're omnipotent. So that's
Yeah.
just what it is. It's part of the game. Well, obviously you're in the professional game now. You've got your license. You're moving forward. In fact, you've got licenses in more than one state, right? Florida,
Yes.
Alabama,
Yes.
Tennessee.
Yes, Florida, Alabama,
Hmm.
Tennessee.
Avoiding
Yeah.
Mississippi for some
And
reason. Keep
mostly,
going.
yeah. So, but Florida is my primary. Obviously,
Right.
living in Pensacola, 99% of my work is all focused within Escambia and Santa Rosa County. We're in the panhandle, like Northwest Florida. So, and in Alabama, I got that more so to be prepared if we ever did get a work from Alabama in our office, which has happened before. Um, and honestly, Tennessee, I was just researching so many regulations from Tennessee because I love how, again, site specific our job is, where different states have different regulations, where they have different soil types and different kind of methods of doing
Not
things.
too many
So
Everglades in
I
Knoxville. Yeah.
got that one basically out of curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, you get the karst rock out of Tennessee, you get the sandy silts and marshlands in Florida, and you have no man land in Alabama. Sorry. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
that transitional land between heaven and earth, whatever. Okay. Well, again, and that did you find that difficult? did you find your first license? I assume was in Florida, and then through comedy, you got an Alabama and a Tennessee license. Was it hard?
Hmm. Yeah, it was. I think through my own professional practice, I felt very prepared going into the PE exam, and so I wouldn't say it was difficult, but I know that's other people. If I had to take it in
Oh
structural or
yeah.
any of the other ones, different story. But um, I think my study process is pretty normal, and I was really proud to get it. It's all framed
As
up on
you
my wall
should
and
be.
everything.
As you should
Hmm.
be. Never shy away from letting people know that you're a PE in any environment, and not just a work environment. You know, you're admonished as part of the code of ethics, professional practice requirements, the justification for licensure: protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public first and foremost at all times. So, just
Yeah.
because you're not at work doesn't mean you're not a PE. Doesn't mean you have the professional and ethical responsibility removed from what you're doing. And so it's important for people to recognize that you're a PE. When I was working in Zambia, on one occasion, I vividly remember walking down the street in Livingston and actually having people, excuse me, coming out of the stores and standing up next to the carts along the side of the road as where I was walking. This was downtown, and almost saluting as I walked down the street. And I asked the person I was with, who was a secretary for a nearby chiefdom, "What's going on?" He said, "They know you're an engineer." And I said, "Yeah, this is like my third trip here." And he said, "No, you don't understand this. They know you're an engineer. They know what you do. They know who you are. They know what you're about, and they respect the profession that much." I said, "So this isn't about me. This is about the profession." And they said, "Yeah, it's about you too, but it's about the profession." So, yeah, we need to stop hiding our light under a basket and let people know who we are and how important we are. And that's where this engagement in public safety, public benefit is so important. Um, how do you see that unfolding in the profession? I know you've already mentioned seeing it in what you're doing and why you do what you do, but how do you see this unfolding in the profession?
Um, so I think civil infrastructure fields have a very unique position too because we're so public facing. Everything we do impacts the public, and a lot of the times, to the you know, I understand why, but when we are doing residential developments or any kind of commercial site plan, you have the added element of, planning boards and citizens groups being concerned. And now regulations are getting stricter on wetland impacts, which they should. But, there's a lot of public input and almost, I wouldn't say disregard for engineering expertise, but kind of ignoring that we are making decisions based on science, based on uh, codes.
Yep.
So I think it's very unique because my mom being structural, no one questions if she's going to keep the building up,
No, they assume.
So
They assume she's
yeah,
going
they
to do it
assume.
right. Yeah. This is
Yeah,
why we get into arguments about
definitely.
licensure. In fact, I'm on the licensure board in Mississippi and have been for a substantial period of time. He got sued over an issue, and the appellate court in New Jersey. Let's try it one more time. It's N word. New Orleans, NOLA. That was going to get out. It'd be easier to say.
Yeah, there we
They
go.
actually came back to us in the brief and said, "Prove to us that that people shouldn't practice engineering without a license, without meeting the qualifications or being tested and
Mm,
validated with qualifications. Prove to us that somebody that has taken the classes but hasn't stood up to your bar is unqualified." And you go, how do you prove something we've not allowed occur in 100 years? How can we prove?
yeah.
Is it not logical that somebody that doesn't know how to do engineering shouldn't be allowed to do engineering? and
Mhm.
we actually lost that article or argument. Excuse me, that article. Nice try. Uh, as sad as it is, I mean, it,
Yeah,
we used to say before you were born, we kind of joked a lot of times about uh, perception is reality. But I think today the joke's lost. I think that's what we're dealing with. My perception, my belief. You know, you can tell me the facts. I know the
mhm,
truth. Huh?
definitely.
Yeah, the facts
Definitely.
are the
Yeah.
truth. Yeah. I got an
Yeah.
argument here just yesterday about somebody on a subject. Oh, you know, the scientists can't make up their mind, and they keep changing their time every time, so we can't believe anything scientists say. What? Really? So who are you going to believe? You know, you're going to make up your own
Exactly.
truth. You know whatever's convenient. Yeah, it's tough. And you're right. And this is again goes back to why I think we need to hold ourselves up and be spoken and explain. Yeah, no, that's not right. I see a lake that has a fish kill in it, and you talk to the owner and say, "Well, you can stop this. You're managing the lake wrong." Oh, I think this is the way it should be managed. I said, and you're 100% wrong. And the dead fish are
Yeah.
perfect proof. You know,
Yep.
well, I just think it's a one off. I don't think they'll ever die again. I said, I think if you keep doing this, they'll die every year. I just, and I'll take my PhD in environmental water resources up against your almost high school education any day to prove it. Uh,
Exactly. I think too with, doctors and lawyers
yeah.
too, it's you have to get to a certain level of expertise to put your name on something, a treatment or an argument or whatever. And it can be discouraging for sure for especially younger engineers to kind of get that pushback when again it's kind of just logical.
Well, and that's why I applaud you again for getting the graduate degree, because now you have deeper wisdom, deeper knowledge, deeper understanding, so that when you have to give pushback, when you're being pushed back against, you're now equipped to a greater degree. You're in a position. It's not just experience. I can explain why the experience has worked, why it manifests the way it did, and being able to be technically competent is part of that. I said at the outset, it's important. One of the things I hope that all of our listeners are focused on are becoming servant leaders, and that means focusing on society and using your skill set to lead society in a positive direction, in a positive way, irrespective of all the noise and truth that's out there. And then the other part of it is being change agents. And you do that by being competent, being a subject area
Yeah.
expert, by being the kind of person that doesn't shy away from an argument, but actually embraces it in the hopes that maybe you'll educate somebody and change a mind. That brings me then to I guess really a different direction of questions, Alex, and that is with all of this that you've experienced in your short career, have you ever felt like giving up? Have you ever had disappointment so bad that you just felt like it wasn't worth the fight? And and how did you deal with that? And then the other part of this is something I want to also bring into the conversation. Kind of part B is the workplace. There are a lot of people in your age bracket and younger who look at the civil infrastructure environment and say, "Not for me." I mean, I've got the education, but I don't want to go to work doing that. I don't want to work those hours. I don't want to work on those projects. I want to be creative. I want to be impactful, and I don't see that. Or maybe it's I'm going to say bias in the workplace that makes people feel uncomfortable. So let's go back to the first one. Have you ever felt disappointment? Have you ever felt like the pushback was
Of
too
course.
much to overcome?
Of course, especially we talked about earlier how when you get out, you feel really stupid for about 3 years. You question everything you do because your degree, because it's so well rounded and gives you all the tools, it's kind of hard to actually know how to apply them. So most of it is just growing pains. And I don't blame older engineers because it is really hard to keep on top of your own projects and then also pour into your younger engineers at the same
Yeah.
time. And so I feel like the times that I kind of faced most disappointment was those first 2 years where I felt almost like a burden kind of
Oh,
floating around, basically kind of lightly helping when I could, but it was so fragmented that I couldn't kind of get a clear picture of the whole project process, because I hadn't been a part of it. And so, and that was especially true at my first job. And so when I switched to my current role, um, it being a smaller firm, I honestly think it was the best thing for me so that I could get a taste of everything. I feel like at a bigger firm, you might be kind of pigeonholed into smaller
yep.
segments. And so being at a one stop shop type thing, I got to see everything. And I still, of course, see new stuff all the time. But that kind of kick started my learning and my ability to apply what I knew and built my confidence in general. So I think that was kind of the most disappointing. It's really hard, especially if you don't know anyone who's been through it, to kind of see past those first couple of years because it's all you're living for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it gets better for sure. It gets a lot
It
better.
does.
Yeah,
It's kind of like coming in and taking statics, and you're going, "Well, I don't want to be a structural engineer. Why am I taking this?"
exactly.
And it's like,
Yeah,
well, because we said so. So
yeah.
you have to kind of push through, hoping that the next class, which mechanics and materials, is going to be better, and then you find it isn't.
Yeah, it's way worse. It's way
Like you
worse.
went the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So
But that's the thing. I think when you start out to the biggest bias that you experience is just because you're younger and no
yeah.
fault to other people. Of
Oh
course,
yes,
more
it is.
experience makes you more trustworthy and more confident. So I think over time you kind of you find your footing and get in there.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to what we said earlier. Actually, that's why mentoring gets so important. Unfortunately, the mentoring needs to start when you show up at the firm, not just attract you to the firm. You know, on day one, you need to be mentored, particularly in those first 4 years. The engineering model, as you know, and those that are listening for the most part know, yeah, the original engineering model that we still work with 120 years later is that you get 4 years of formal education with some hands on, and then you'd get 4 years of practical professional experience and growth, mentoring and learning your ethics, learning your management, learning your applications, applying the code, getting all that skills. And what's unfortunately has happened over the years, recent decades, several decades, is that the corporations have gotten so focused on making a buck that they want people with the sneakers on ready to run when they walk through the door on day one. In other words, 4 years of education, 4 years of experience, 4 years of everything. Now you're ready to go to work. And for those in our kind of profession, that's not realistic. We need that growth and that shaping and that mentoring. I was fortunate. I co-opted. And so by the time I got my undergraduate degree, I had 2.5 years of work experience under my belt working with an international consulting firm and two absolutely great mentors and they really helped shape where I ended up going the rest of my life as a result of who they were and what they did and what they emphasized. And so that's important. The environment piece is also something the mentor can help correct. If you feel isolated or alone, that mentor kind of helps take away some of that. At least that's my opinion. What do you think? This is about
Definitely.
you. This is about me.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think any hallmark of a good mentor is kind of meeting the mentee where they're at and kind of seeing how they can guide them along to get to where they want to be. Um, and so my other mentor would be my current boss, Paul Battle. And a lot of, he would say that he's not a good mentor because he's busy. Of course he is. But I say he's
Now
a
you can
great mentor.
share the podcast with him and hope
Exactly. Yeah.
you can
I,
edit it too.
yeah,
So
but I've said he's a great mentor because he kind of shows that solution creativity and kind of getting out of tight spots. And if you just gnaw away at a problem, it'll come to fruition and something will click. And so I think whether that be in ethics or solution finding or anything, you're wanting to kind of, build up the mentee's brain to kind of
Yeah.
get into that rhythm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, obviously, you've had challenges.
Hmm.
I assume you've also had successes.
Yes.
Want to share one
Yeah.
or two?
I mean, shoot. Uh, I wouldn't
Well,
say
don't you hate those questions? Tell me the most important project you ever finished. Well, they were all important.
Yeah, at the
I've
time,
enjoyed
they're
them
all
all.
top priority to all our
Yeah.
clients. We're all top priority. um, but I don't know. I think at this point in my career, I know that I'm going to be involved in a lot of projects moving forward. And so I probably couldn't name a singular one.
Sure.
Um, but I think kind of my favorite part of what I've been doing lately is kind of helping churches, especially, or nonprofits, kind of get where they need to be within their budgets, kind of being creative in that sense. And yeah, I mean that's probably any of those can be in
And
it.
that's important. I mean, if you don't have the resources, the project doesn't move forward, regardless how fast how important it is. And
Definitely,
so, doing designs that meet those budgets and working with them to prioritize budgets so that those projects can be brought to fruition, that takes time. That takes skill.
definitely.
That
And then
takes
again, building
dedication.
that skill, kind of seeing how each project is site specific, but you can pull something from every project you work on. Um, that's why I love those projects where I'm kind of squeezed budget wise. So I can change the type of curb or change the parking lot to gravel or anything, little minor changes that even 2 years ago I wouldn't think are a big deal, but they're huge money savers. So it's
An
just,
open air sanctuary. Yeah,
yeah, there you go.
who needs a roof?
There you go.
They
Logs,
make umbrellas
logs
for
instead of pews. Yeah. So
Super. Excellent. Well, we're running out of time and I could talk to you the rest of the day, but it wouldn't be fair to you or anybody else except me. So I'll focus on everybody else. The Obviously I want to put in a plug for NSPE, again, National Society of Professional Engineers. What motivated you to seek out and join a professional organization? And then, as you know, I'm past president of ASCE. Why not ASCE? Though I'll also quickly admit I was in NSP. I am in NSPE as well. I'm a life member of NSPE, a fellow. I'm a life member and fellow of ASCE and a couple other organizations as well. Why professional organizations? What's Is it about giving or is it about taking or is it about both?
it's about both for sure. Kind of the giving aspect with your point on servant leadership. I think it's really important to lend your expertise, whether it be through mentoring younger engineers or talking on message boards with other engineers to try to figure out a problem. It's just really helpful once you get like-minded people all in the same room, whether it be physically or virtually. And I'm a member of NSPE, ASCE, and Florida Engineering Society,
Good
and
deal.
it's really nice, especially on the local level, to kind of put names to faces and um, kind of build that local network. I've always That was one thing growing up that I really appreciated was how close and tight knit the Pensacola engineering community was, and how you can really kind of build off of each other. So that's a benefit of really any professional organization is to kind of use each other as sounding boards and give and take. So
It's that latter piece I think is really important. It's again give and take. You can be the sending board, or you may need a sending board, but at the end of the day, I look at the professional organizations, ASE, NSPE, the state society, as opportunities to develop a network of professionals that you can go to if you have a technical question, or for that matter, a professional ethical question that in some ways you may not be comfortable asking in a workplace where the person you're asking is also the person doing your quarterly review.
Exactly.
But I can go offline and I can talk to, quote, a friend, a
Mhm.
colleague, an acquaintance in one of these organizations who I trust, obviously, to get another perspective. What would you do if? How
Exactly.
would you handle when? And just see what they say.
Yeah, and
And,
I think too with engineering, especially with civil, it is kind of a team sport. So I
yeah,
think people get kind of used to I'm the EOR, so I need to kind of almost isolate themselves to have all the answers, and so to be comfortable and can kind of get practice asking other people for input and being okay with feedback is really important.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah. Keeping in mind that a lot of times free advice is worth everything you pay for it, but nevertheless, it's at least you get perspective.
yeah, exactly,
Sometimes just asking somebody is enough of a process that you kick it, your brain kicks in and starts to understand. I've now formulated what I'm really wrestling with. Now I can solve it. I mean,
exactly.
I get the answer from them, but I can get it myself. The emerging leaders program is relatively new at NSPE, and I'm just wondering, um, do you see it providing any opportunities for this, for leadership, for mentoring, for role modeling, for whatever? It are are you happy that you're an emerging leader?
The program honestly was invaluable. It was very it was structured in a way that it kind of let you do introspection in terms of the workplace.
Right.
And it for me personally, it kind of highlighted weaknesses I had with my own interpersonal communication skills and things that you don't really think about because you're just in the moment working and pushing through. So it really allowed me to do the work and or at least start to do the work to be a better leader, be a better mentor, mentee, um, gain some perspective.
Yeah. And that's arguably what the program's about: helping individuals, facilitating individuals to be leaders. That's why they use it, emerging leaders as a title. Not saying you're there yet and full and have to wear the full mantra, full mantle, the full yoke, but rather, let's move you up the food chain. And of course, their expectation, as mine, is that we will see your name moving up the ranks of leadership within Florida Society of Engineers, as well as NSPE and ASCE.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, don't let me down here.
No, yeah, no. I'm a big, big advocate for service, so I will be there. So
Okay.
you
Well,
will
that's
see
great to hear.
me.
That's great to hear. Okay. Well, I've burned up an awful lot of your time, and you've been very open and giving of it, and therefore I'm very appreciative, Alex, that you're willing to work this through and spend time with me and have this conversation. And I know the listeners will be as well. The goal is to benefit others and continue that service leadership that you've accepted the responsibility for becoming. And again, I thank you for it personally. I thank you on behalf of the profession as well. I applaud you. And of course, if there's ever anything I can do to help, reach out. I have no idea what it would be, and I'm not looking for another consulting job.
Yeah,
But well, I'm environmental water resources too.
yeah,
Hey, have you ever thought about becoming certified? ASCE's got a board certification program for water resource engineers.
yep. I saw that. I saw that.
Okay, good deal.
Yep.
No, no, nope, wrong. Well,
Yeah,
I've got
yeah.
my
No.
ASC pin. Yeah, I don't have my CEC pin on. so, so anyway, hey, I'm plugging all the time.
Oh, of
So many
course.
organizations. There's just so much benefit out there to being engaged. This thing of going out and doing a job and coming home and pulling, going into your, and I'm going to say it this way because that's what you keep hearing. You go into your man cave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. What do you do?
Yeah,
What's man? Yeah, forget that. Burn down the man cave and join the rest of us. It's too much, too little time, and too much fun to be had.
exactly.
Anyway, in closing, I'll give you a couple of minutes. Anything you'd like to share? Any thoughts that we've missed? Any insights that you think are important to give out at this time?
Um, I just really appreciate coming on and talking to you. This has been great. Um, in general, I'm excited to move in my career and am really hoping that especially younger engineers get something out of my experiences and how where I'm at in my career, honestly. This career means everything to me. I live and breathe it. I love going to work every day and uh, giving into my community. That's really kind of the basis of what we do as civil infrastructure engineers. That we are really building the community, whether it be your driveways or your roads, or your ponds,
It's still
anything.
not built. We keep hoping.
Yeah. And so it's just, you've done a good job when people don't realize you did your job. So that's my goal, and I hope to kind of keep pushing toward that.
Well, and again, grab a candle, grab a flashlight, grab a spotlight, whatever it takes. Shine a light on the work you do and let people know why it's right, why it's beneficial, and why you did it the way you did it.
Definitely.
And establish yourself as that subject area expert so that when the next question comes up, you're the resource instead of some stupid podcast. Had to say it. Had to say it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, and the takeaways that I'm hearing is, of course, expect tough times. I mean, coming into this profession, not all environments are created equal. Not all jobs are the same, and as such, there could be some rough, very rough periods. If it's too rough or if it's too arduous to live through, go someplace else. The need for people in this profession doesn't mean you have to sit there and put up with. Um, Again, I'll go back to my default dinosaurs.
Hmm.
Uh, you can be what you want to be in this profession. So be it and find mentors. Embrace the mentors, look for mentors. Don't be afraid to admit what you don't know and ask for help. Uh, Even if it is somebody that's doing that quarterly review, but
Yeah.
also in the society, within the profession, within the workplace, uh, and don't be afraid to go back and get more education. Don't recognize what you. It's the story I tell is what's it feel like to be wrong? It feels like being right until you find out you're wrong. So let's find out you're wrong before you do something wrong,
Exactly.
do a bad design, hurt somebody. And so always challenge, always question, critical think, and all that mantra that you hear, all that trite terminology that gets spread all over everybody. And then again, thank you. You've been open, you've been candid, you've been fun to talk to. You really are. Even if you did go to the University of Alabama. And
Hey, roll tide forever,
oh, oh, oh,
regardless of football scores.
oh, I could tell you all kinds of stories.
I'm sure.
But I won't. At least not until the recording goes off.
Hmm.
But anyway, yeah, thanks a lot. And to those of you who are listening, rubber baby buggy bumpers, thanks for spending your time with us. As always, as I always say, I hope the time that you've invested in this conversation, in the goals of being a better professional in the civil infrastructure world, uh, returns dividends. That you find this conversation to be supportive and beneficial, and that at the end of the day, you're a better version of the professional that you're hoping to be than you were coming into the conversation. Till next time, everybody take care. Again, Alex, thanks a lot, and stay safe, stay well.